Hi guys, welcome to the video. Today we are combining two videos I've been wanting to make for our garden party. One is about painting irises and one is sketching in the garden. So we were lucky enough to have a second flush of some of the irises, so today we are looking at those. Okay, so let's first talk about sketching outdoors or painting en plein air. This has been something I have worked on and tried to kind of figure out how to do for several years. In the beginning, I kind of mistakenly thought, well, if I can paint on location, but they are such different it's like a whole new ball game to kind of paint actually outside. And so I wanted to share a couple of my favorite kind of tips and ways that I will tackle it. And I think maybe the first thing is that before you go, you really want to know your palette. You want to know what colors you have, what mixes it creates. You don't kind of want to be learning that on location. And then also kind of having an idea of where you're going and how to paint that thing really helps as well. So practicing, maybe if you're going to a park or, if you're going to like a particular landmark or something, practicing that beforehand so you kind of have a general idea of how you want to paint the thing where you're going. It's really helpful. When you actually get onto location, one of the things that was really I was struggling with was just this overwhelming sense of awe, I guess. Like you go somewhere and the beauty of that moment is pretty encompassing, and there's kind of all kinds of things that are catching your attention. And in the beginning, I wasn't sure if I should kind of push that feeling away and just try and, think about things more logically, but now I found that I actually use that and take that for a few minutes and just kind of feel what I'm feeling. So really let the just the surroundings sink in and kind of whatever's really creating and capturing that sense of beauty at that moment. Allowing yourself a time to kind of envelop and absorb that sense of beauty. I feel like it's a really invaluable kind of step. And then once I do that, I kind of start to observe things like, what do I actually want to recreate from the scene in front of me or around me. So I'll try and zero in on a few key things that I'm really enjoying. And you can see in this instance that it was the irises here. So I was so happy. I thought we'd kind of missed all the flowers, and I was so happy that we got a second flush of these. So yeah, what I first did here, and this is how I've been kind of sketching a lot at the minute, is I'm taking these paint markers, or this one here's an Ecoline, and I'm sketching out kind of just the kind of side petals. Again, we've talked a lot about this, like the side petal and then like the top petal. And you can see here I'm not doing a detailed sketch. This is just taking me a few seconds. I'm using the kind of more beige one for the warmer side and then the cooler one for the kind of more shadow side. And then I've just taken the green one to put in the stem there again, very, very loosely. And then whether I'm on location or not, I'm always painting the same way. So I do drop a little bits of water on whatever colours that I'm thinking that I want to use before I start, and then I've just been loosely kind of painting over the top of those markers. I'm sort of using the markers as my initial wash, or like so that I can kind of glaze over the top without waiting for the first layer of watercolor to dry. So it kind of quickens the process. And I guess this brings me to my next point, is what I'm looking for on location. So after I've kind of figured out what I want to paint, then I'm using the time. I usually only have a few minutes, but I want to get an idea of the form. So in this case, I'm just kind of quickly looking at the iris here and looking at the top petal, the side petals, and just getting a bit of a feel for the colours, for the shapes. They're often quite complex, so I'm just using this as a time to kind of start to get to know the subject. So often, like when you have the thing there in front of you, you'll notice things that maybe a photo couldn't show you. So I like to work from photos, or generally like I'll take a video so that I can pause it wherever I want, or take a screenshot from that. But often you'll find that like when you have the thing in front of you, you might notice something that you can't see from a photo. And you know, it could be just the depth of color as well. Like I'm not even sure if this kind of shines through how kind of pale and beautiful and delicate they are. But the other thing that I like to do when I have like a subject that's there in front of me is I kind of put my page next to it, especially flowers. Like you can go from kind of one point to the other, kind of mapping out the size of the flower. And I find this is quite a helpful way to quickly start to figure out the dimensions. So again, you can see that we've already done just an initial very quick sketch, and so now I am taking a piece of cotton paper and I'm doing just a slightly more detailed sketch. Again, this is not like a very detailed sketch, but I'm just again starting to kind of get the feeling and the shape of some of these elements of the iris, and I think I'm kind of seeing a little bit of a different perspective than you guys as well, but I'm just sketching kind of what I can see there. If there's the kind of turn of a petal, I kind of try and look at that a little bit and figure out how to do that. I'm also using the time to kind of collect color notes. So what can I see in the colors of the iris, and how do I want to kind of use my palette to depict that? The other interesting thing here is that when you're painting outside, you can't really gauge the depth of the colors properly. So this was a lot darker when I took it inside than it actually appeared when I was painting it outside. So that's just another thing to consider as well. Like there's just so many different elements in this kind of outdoor painting scenario. So I guess another thing is just to be delicate with yourself. Like it does take a while to even figure out kind of how you want to quickly portray things, or you may have, you know, quite a bit of time. You may have a whole afternoon to sit and paint, which would just be lovely. So yeah, maybe you can kind of look at things more in depth. For me, this has been like, how can I kind of get a few minutes here? Like I think this whole thing was kind of less than kind of 10 minutes. So I'm constantly kind of trying to figure out how to condense the process and get the most out of it. So the second thing that I have to show you here is this little palette. This is the Art Toolkit is it the micro palette and the Demi palette? So it is a tiny little palette, obviously very lightweight, very pocket friendly. And I'm just going to show you what I put in here. So this is the Daniel Smith Hibiscus. This one is a beautiful kind of shimmer color. I really love this for like even clouds, evening skies, flowers. I find it has been really helpful, and I've been really enjoying it, so I wanted to put it in here. This one is Holbein Lilac. And so I guess they're my two reds. Yep, and then this one here is from American Journey. This is something Joe's. It's their brand, it's their house brand. Anyway, I will link these, but that's the Apricot. And then this one here is the Daniel Smith French Ochre. So I really love having these two types of really soft colours and kind of more peachy tones. This one here is actually a mix of, it's the Holbein Silver Gouache and the Winsor and Newton Gold Gouache, I think, and I just kind of squeezed a bit of both in and let them dry. Sort of mixed it in the little pan there. This one here is Schmincke Celadonite. Is that right? And then, so I'll list all these below as well, and I'll kind of give a little synopsis of what I'm talking about with all the parts of the process as well. So you can print that out if you want and just tuck it in your sketchbook to kind of read or to reference. Okay, this one here is, I think, one of the new Schmincke ones. It's the Celadonite. It's a very soft green, but I really love I really love that. And then this one here is the Daniel Smith Terre Verte, and this is just kind of a very nice kind of an emerald green. It's quite a natural green to use in nature, so I really enjoy that. This one here is the Daniel Smith Sleeping Beauty Turquoise. It's a more of a kind of a muted blue, and when you use it in a very pale concentration, you can see there, like, it just goes into this really soft powdery blue, which I really enjoy, like for skies and things. This one is Daniel Smith Indigo, and I can use a little bit of this, like with the Terre Verte with the green, to kind of deepen that up. I can also use a bit of this one here, which is the this is the Greenleaf and Blueberry, like the little quarter pans. So the brown one is the South African Chromite, I think so. I will list it below. And this one is the Barite White. So it's kind of like a transparent sort of grey white. It's really beautiful as well. So yeah, what I was looking for, because it's such a little palette, is some things that can mix, some things that I know I will enjoy using, you know, in landscapes, that I'll find out and about as well. And like mixing the kind of two first kind of pink purples with the browns or with the blues, mixing the first four colours together. And yeah, there's just like this whole palette mixes very well together. Okay, so let's also look at one of the days I just went out, and I wanted to show you when you're kind of looking at, for example, just sketching the form of something. You can see here I'm taking the just these kind of iris leaves and kind of looking at putting them, you know, kind of behind each other, how they're curving, how they're kind of the swoop. I really like this, how it kind of goes down, and then putting the one there and having the other part kind of come forward like this. So again, just looking at perspective and kind of folds, even though there was no flowers at this point, I was just enjoying kind of using these to kind of look at sketching a little bit. Yeah, often there'll be something that we can sketch that will just even be kind of a little exercise in a perspective or color mixing, or things like that. Okay, so you can see here that I have done the same thing that I did in the beginning. I did the paint markers first, and I really don't love the way that some of the markers, kind of you get these lines, but I just, I was actually doing this while we were watching a movie, and it was kind of dark, and so I was quite shocked when I put the lights on and the colours were so vibrant. So I just went over it basically with a kind of a grade wash. Yeah. And yeah, I was just putting all colours and sparkles and just kind of playing around with ideas. So this was one I did a little bit more in depth. So I actually used pencils, and I was kind of just looking at, again, the form, the way that the little bits of kind of different colours or the different veination in the petals was working. I actually love this Derwent Lightfast Oyster. That's one of my favourite pencils, and yeah, I found that really nice to be able to kind of go over the top of everything and give it just that soft kind of pale kind of lilac colour. And so that was kind of more looking into the form a little bit more before I painted it, so that it's sometimes easier to do some of those things in a different medium. Yep, and then This is a sketchbook where kind of in this little portion of the sketchbook, I kind of use it for different things, but this is kind of the color notes section, or like the little color garden. So I'll keep this open for like a week and just keep adding to those pages. So I did some irises in there. This is a sketchbook I was recommended by you guys, and I absolutely love this. Yeah, and this will be in the haul video as soon as that comes, but I wanted to just kind of show you again. So we use this sketchbook, and kind of just one of the really nice things about really any of these flowers, but I really love the irises, but is just kind of just playing with color, and kind of once you kind of understanding the shape and the form a little bit more, is playing with color and just enjoying kind of mixing and kind of seeing how things work. So you can see here we're creating the top petal, and kind of looking at the ruffles on the side. Then we go down to the bottom petals, and you've got the kind of the nice curve there, and again just kind of looking at how that works, and kind of the proportion from one petal to the next petal. It's so much easier if you start with one thing and then try and kind of gauge where the next petal goes in relation to the last one. So yep, and then I'm putting in some of these back kind of petals that peek out from the sides here, and kind of give a bit more of a fuller look to the top petal. And this is a very loose kind of interpretation, so I'm not waiting for anything to dry. I don't mind if they kind of merge a little bit, but I did sort of create a slightly darker purple for the background there, just to give that kind of sense of a little bit of shadow. Then I've taken this really, really pale green, so you can mix a green with a lot of white, and I'm just using that to start to put the stem in. Hopefully you can see from these that even like more complex subjects, if you start to kind of just break it down into simpler shapes, it starts to become a little bit easier to create. So here I am, this is all still wet, so we're painting wet into wet, and I'm using more of these just slightly darker colors here to put some of this shading in. And then once I do that, we're going to just let everything dry, and we will add some final kind of touches wet onto dry. You can also see here that I'm putting in these kind of side swoops in the side petals here, and this is for the kind of little hairy parts to it kind of denotes where they're going to go. So you can see here, these are actually really fun to do, like different colors, and I feel like they're always kind of a treat when you see the iris, like what color they might be. I think it's actually called the beard. So yep, and then so you can see here that once also the stem's drying there, I'm putting a little bit of a darker version of that color on there to start to give a little bit more shaping. And I'm going in with some kind of hot pink here once this is all dry, and kind of starting to put in just some of these details. You can see here I'm starting with kind of the center, the larger kind of center area, and then some to the sides there. They kind of curve out one side or the other side. Very, very fine, faint lines. And then once this is again all dry, just adding in some more of this beard. And yep, I feel like these are so yeah, like I could just sit there pretty much for a whole week and just look at different color combinations of these. So this is just a really nice exercise as well to kind of look at color combinations. You can see there on the around the edges I put in little bits of where the creasing on those kind of petals would go. And yeah, so then I am just starting another one here, and I really wanted to do like just to think about a very, very soft pink and kind of peaches, and putting in some of the little kind of folds when the petal curls up there in a bit of a slightly different color. I'm also using like a brighter green here for the stem, and then I'm kind of using a Potter's Pink to kind of put these shadows in, but I'm not sure. I feel like now like I would have maybe wanted to use the Silk Grey or the Blue John or something. So again, or maybe just like even the peach, but mixed with those or something. So again, this is where it's very interesting to kind of do these. They're almost more like thumbnails. Yeah, but again, like just so fun, the different color combinations that you can create. And then I am thinking about when we kind of sketched out these leaves before, and so I'm kind of doing the swoop here and thinking about putting in some of the darker kind of the shadow area underneath where it would be folding. And so it's quite nice once you've kind of organized or figured out like how to draw something or kind of how the form works, then you can go in and kind of just really enjoy the painting session and really kind of think about and focus on the colors and the brush strokes. So I wanted to give you a little kind of overview of exactly kind of how many of these almost studies I did, and to maybe give you some ideas like of if you're working on something, how to work through that. So yeah, I started with that little tiny sketch, and then I moved on to like the color studies. You can see here like the large kind of stack of sketchbooks here, but this is the first thing that I started with. This is in my little annotated sketchbook, and I just did a very quick kind of, after we'd been for a walk, I just came in and did this that I was kind of thinking about. I hadn't taken this out. I wasn't kind of looking at anything. I just kind of quickly noted that down. And then, yeah, I brushed over it pretty quick, but I did do that page that we had looked at, kind of the colour notes page. I had that open and kind of was adding to that for a week. And then this one here, I sat down one morning and I just wanted to look more closely at like where the kind of the direction of the just the little subtle kind of changes in the petals. And so I did that with a pencil, and I used the Paper Republic drawing book. I've been really enjoying this drawing book like I think all summer. Yeah, putting the different flowers in. It's really nice for, you can see that this is the start page. I actually added that in, so I left a few pages at the front to do things, and then kind of as it goes into the book, I kind of get more looser, more sketchy as kind of I have been taking this book out and kind of standing in front of the flower and sketching it out. So this one here on the left is where we actually started the video, and this is also in the other Paper Republic. It's like just the regular plain notebook, and so the paper's a lot thinner, but yeah, you can see it takes watercolor very nicely. This here is the Clairefontaine pastel matte paper, and I just again, I like to do sort of quick pastel studies. I feel like it could definitely use some more work, but you know, it was just a pretty quick, like maybe 15-minute kind of thing. And then you can see here, this is the one we did outside, and compared to the one next to it there on the left, how pale I was actually thinking about it, and how dark, I mean dark comparatively, but it came out on the paper. This is where I started and where I finished. So if you saw the shorts last week, this was what I was painting, and you can see here, I'm just kind of going to run you through very quickly. That's kind of where I started the initial wash. You can see it's a very soft initial wash. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I did. I think one day I sketched it out, and then the next day I just put the wash in. So sometimes, you know, I don't have a lot of time, so I kind of break it down into areas that I can kind of get done in a day. So the next day I came in and started to put in the sort of glazing, these wet on dry details on top. And the colouring for this, I was really inspired by the shots that I showed at the beginning where it's like sparkling in the sun. So I've used Potter's Pink and the Daniel Smith Pearlescent White. Again, I'm just like putting in those little details, so you can see that because this is so pale, it doesn't take a lot of glazing or a lot of washes. Just putting in the details that we kind of talked about before, and then also these kind of the striations that come out from the beard there. You can always pause the video or take a screenshot of the kind of reference photos and videos that I've put in. And then here, like, I really loved this bud. It was very, very delicate, and the colours were so beautiful in real life. So I wanted to kind of add that in to the sketch here, and just putting some of that kind of soft green over the pink there. Yeah, I have used, I think for the colouring in this, I don't know, Sedona and a Potter's Pink really watered down, I think, and the Incarnate one with the Potter's Pink as well. And then I mixed in a little bit of the ultramarine violet, and again you can see a lot of water for the bottom flower here. So these petals were a little bit more complicated. They kind of radiated out from the center here, and then I'm just kind of putting in the what's interesting is there's a lot of linear details in petals, so I'm just popping those in, and then the kind of outer petals had again those kind of more Daniel Smith French ochre type, like the kind of more mustardy decorative elements, I guess. I had been thinking about maybe putting a dark background in so that the pale kind of really shone, but I ended up just putting like a little bits of sort of shading around it. You can see kind of more similar to the pencil one that I did here. I actually would like to try one with kind of a darker background, but oh yeah. So here we go. So these are the colors that I used, and you can see how vibrant they are there. So that is, you know, full strength. So you can see how much water went into the mixes. This is a mix that I was really enjoying as the shadow color, and I've been using it like since then. So this is the Wallace and Seymour Blue John and the Daniel Smith Sedona, and then I was also kind of mixing in the pink color, or this is like Potter's Pink. Yeah, so this has been a really enjoyable mix lately. And I think I only filmed it for the short, but one of the most important elements of this painting is to kind of get a feel for how light it is you've got to create somewhere a part that's dark. And so right in kind of the corners of where the bearded part is, you can see there's quite a strong, and I did several glazes of this kind of mix to kind of show sort of right there in the kind of creases, to kind of show how saturated that is, to how pale the flower is. So yeah, we have 2 more videos I want to do to finish up the garden party. One is just the finishing one, and I want to do some monotype printing with oil pastels and of landscapes and flowers, and then I want to do just a collage one of some of the like wild violets and things that we had. I really want to do mountain laurel, but we'll see if we might get to that next year. Yeah, and then we've got like a haul coming up, like a 2025 books and favorites and all those good things. So I will see you guys in the next video. Have a really lovely week. Bye.